Within the last 2 years, fatal dog attacks have devastated whānau in the far north. But are lessons being taken from these tragedies? And does the community feel heard? Mea nei te pūrongo, a John Boynton.
Come on, we're going to go for a walk. You want to go for a walk? Okay. Well, we've got to be careful on this stuff.
Their man's best friend.
Our whole life, that's how we learned to be.
Good boy.
Loving dogs. They were just a part of the whānau.
You're just a big boy, you are.
But when bad owners raise bad dogs...
You hear all these dog attacks. Does anything be done about it? No.
It could be your child getting buried because you chose not to be a better owner of your animals.
We're in crisis and it's only getting worse day by day.
That crisis is animal numbers which are out of control.
There was a time where I could get 3 or 4 phone calls a day with puppies needing help, and you'd take them and we'd juggle them. But now we're having to say no, and it's heartbreaking. Kia ora. At about 6:45, we got up and started our day.
You can always trust Summer Johnson to have a van full of kuri.
So this is Honor, and then we've got Wookie and Whittle and Champy and Stardust in the back there.
She runs a volunteer animal rescue.
We need mandatory desexing, and we need the government and the councils and the SPCA, the ones with power, to recognise that we are in crisis.
In the far north in particular, the dog crisis has taken a tragic turn. 18 months ago, NevilleThomson was mauled to death by a pack of dogs at his Pangaru property.
He lived up the hill on Puketawa Road for 35 years, a cornerstone of the community.
But his paradise became the site of a horrific event. A friend who was temporarily staying with Neville had more than 20 dogs with him. It's alleged Neville went outside to see the dogs when they attacked and killed him.
They were big dogs, and he was a small man. He had no chance. The police couldn't even verbalise what he looked like. It has affected my entire family, and I couldn't go to sleep. Couldn't close my eyes without visualising something.
Every time I see it on the news or something, it's definitely it's like a heart-wrenching thing. It's not easy.
Neville's son Tama now lives in the house where his dad was killed.
That's the last thing I ever expected my dad to have happen to him. He loved dogs, he like his own children. He nurtured dogs, he looked after them.
If we have good dog owners, this shouldn't happen. It's as simple as that.
But just a year later, there was another unrelated dog attack in Northland.
Police told Newshub the dog belonged to the owners of the property. By the time they arrived, the victim was dead.
The victim was 78-year-old Mōerewa resident Elizabeth Whittaker.
How difficult was it to hear another person had been killed in a dog attack?
Anger, just angry. Deep sadness for the family that had to go through that. And that poor queer having to go through such a traumatic situation.
It's woken up our community in a way that it has never been woken up before.
Local board member Roddy Pihema understands the devastating impacts of dog attacks. Elizabeth Whittaker was his auntie.
The one thing we're missing in Mōerewa is proper, I suppose, education into responsible dog ownership.
Tama believes other Northlanders need to clean up their act.
It's like, oh shit, those dogs did that. My dogs aren't very good either. Maybe I need to do something about them or start training them better, because that could be me.
How are we stopping it? What are we doing? What are the councils doing? What are the police doing?
Pihema says there's a dog in almost every home in Mōerewa, but only a handful are registered.
You can't push council to do their job if you're not doing your job yourself. Come on, come here, Pat. Yeah.
2 years ago, Awanui local Chris Radich was attacked while walking his dog.
I still get nightmares. If I wasn't strong enough to hold that dog off me, it would have ripped my throat. Don't see our kids running down the road now. You don't see them on bikes because the parents are frightened.
He started a petition calling on the Far North District Council to increase law enforcement.
Dog attacks, roaming dogs, and something had to be done. I'd like to see the dog rangers have more authority. They should be on the streets picking up the dogs.
I think council is doing as much as council can do at the moment. They don't have the numbers when it comes to animal control workers.
But Chris Radich says this shouldn't let council off the hook. They can still do more to restrict dog ownership.
1 or 2 dogs each, not just 5 or 6 dogs tied up on the lawn. Some of these fellas got dogs, I think they think they're statues. You know what I mean? You got to feed a dog, You look after the dog's faithful to you.
I always hear our fur babies, well, if it's your fur baby, then why aren't you doing what's right for your fur baby?
People are abandoning dogs because they can't afford to keep them. With the rising costs of living, pet food, registration, vet bills and medication, it can amount to thousands each year.
I understand hardship, I really, truly do. Good boy, little man. And I'm always there to help, but not to be relied upon.
Summer Johnson says volunteer rescues are facing their own hardships.
We do need help. We're all just going to keep drowning. And it's not fair. It's not fair on the animals.
And her job is becoming even harder. Last year, Summer was charged with theft after refusing to give back a dog she believed was in danger.
And I may look hard, but I was scared. 7 years jail is quite intimidating.
The dog, named Sheba, had been found injured on the side of the road.
She'd been hit by a truck a year and a half prior, and the leg amputation cost was going to be about $3,000, and the family couldn't afford it, so they took her home and chained her up.
Any kids?
Summer refused to give the dog back.
If it was me or Sheba, I was the one going to jail. She didn't deserve to go back to her life of hell on the end of a chain.
In December, police charged this man, Abel Wira, for owning the dogs responsible in the fatal attack on NevilleThomson. When he turned up at the Kaitaia District Court, he came with a truck full of dogs. At his latest appearance in March, his charge was upgraded to manslaughter.
Believe me when I say this is not a dog problem. It's a owner problem. It's a community problem. It's a government problem.
It's not fair on the people that's lives have been taken. It's a tragedy, and it's just not taken seriously enough.
Come on.
Police eventually withdrew the charge against Summer.
A message to those with the power is to listen to us independent rescues, treat us as equals. We all want the same thing, better animal welfare.
Hello. Oh, you smell luscious. Kiss it. Go.
It's almost 2 years since Neville died.
Can I say, I find it hard to think about him. He's such a big void that's missing from our lives.
Fergus, the dog she walks every day and loves, is her dad's. Taken in when he died.
We actually affectionately call Fergus our fur brother. Over time, though, Fergus became kind of like my therapy dog. We healed each other on this journey.